Man, I just can't fathom what I'm going to taste. What am I going to taste?
Well, I think you're gonna like this Kolsch.
Okay, good. Is it just Kolsch then?
Just this one here. Now I'm gonna pour you a little bit of something different. This is the Albatros Landing.
Most fascinating how the beer process is made, and the smallest things that cause different colors, different flavors, different aromas. And of course, I'm a wine guy, so the smell of beer means a lot to me.
Right.
So what are we going to start with?
So we'll start with on our left end here. You see, this is our Kolsch. Traditionally, Kolsch is crystal clear, what we call in the brewing industry as brilliant. So there should really be no chill haze. And then on the nose, this is made with Hallertau hops, so all German materials go into the making of this. So it's German malt and Pilsner, Colorado rye, and German hops. So Kolsch is that kind of intermediary between a ale and a lager with more lager-like notes. On the nose, you get the Hallertau Hersbrucke, which is a little bit floral, very light, very clean, and a little bit of that rye.
There's a little bit of honey on the nose.
And the honey comes from the Pilsner malts. So it has a little bit of maybe light cracker, and then just a little bit of that honey note.
It's very nice on the nose and the palate.
Yep.
It's very easy to take down, especially for people that don't drink a lot of beer.
Right. And this is our alternative. This is kind of what we offer up for folks that are looking for that light lager, be it an American light lager or German or Czech or fill in the blank. Similar notes, easy, light, something that you can just sit down and enjoy. Lower alcohol, so it's not something that it goes very well on a hot day.
So for those of you who don't drink a lot of beer, this would be a good starter, and it's very enjoyable.
Thank you. Next, we'll move on to the Albatros Landing, the Dunkelweizen. So as you can see, you have more. This is a Berenstain Dunkelweizen, and Berenstain directly translates to amber from German, and so basically it's a amber dark wheat beer. Traditionally with this style, you'll get banana on the nose, banana, clove, and maybe a hint of vanilla.
The vanilla is pretty strong. Now there's a subtlety to the banana. What's that about?
So that is just how the yeast was utilized in fermentation. So with these darker beers, traditionally the malts bring out a little bit more of the clove notes, and so you're going to get a little bit more of that clove on the nose. It's a balancing act between oxygenation and pitch rate and temperature with these darker beers.
In Bordeaux, making wines, it's very, very interesting because they say to you, it's all terroir. And some of the great winemakers challenge them from outside of Bordeaux and say, well, what about the yeasts? Oh no, it's terroir, because they want to control. The rest of the world can't do what we do because they don't have the terroir. But really it is the yeasts in all brewing, in all fermentation.
In brewing yeast, there's the old saying that brewers make wort and yeast makes beer.
Exactly.
And that's just that plays out. So here we're seeing two different yeast styles, two different yeast strains, and how much they vary between the two styles, as they're both more yeast ester and yeast phenol forward than, say, an average Cali ale yeast or something that finishes very, very clean.
Now, how come this doesn't have a lot of the residual sugar, so to speak, that you find it's pleasant, and that's a compliment for the type of beer.
Thank you. So this beer traditionally is highly effervescent and relatively dry. So it's kind of that, I consider a Dunkelweizen a nice spring and fall beer. So it's got that maltiness to it, that malt character, the kind of bready caramel notes to it that you're looking for as the weather changes. But with the effervescence, it's still light on the tongue and easy to drink.
Spring once sprung, but fall has fallen. Cheers. Okay, number 3.
Number 3. So we're kind of going to the opposite side of the spectrum now. So I wanted to put this Morning Dew. This is our coffee stout out.
Thank you.
Now this is, as we discussed a little bit earlier, as kind of highlighting what the 3 different primary ingredients going into the beer do. This is on that malt side. So this is a clean English ale yeast that we use. Doesn't dominate, doesn't play a major character except for highlighting the malts. And so with this, what I love about it is it's all malts. So it's some coffee malt, it's some chocolate malt, it's a honey biscuit malt, all just trying to get a little bit of complexity, get that nose where you're getting that chocolate flavor on the back end that kind of rounds out the roasted coffee notes that you'll pick up on the nose.
This is my wife's favorite. It's very nice.
And so you'll notice with this, it has a higher residual sugar content than the previous 2 that we had. So it adds that little bit more of that medium full to full body note to it. It's a little bit more chewy, if you will.
A little less caramel than some.
Yep. And so this is a combination of the crystal malts as well as the dark specialty malts to give it the coffee, the chocolate, and a little bit. You can blend the chocolate malts or the higher roasted malts with caramel malts or crystal malts and get various flavors that kind of gives it complexity.
A little subtle bitterness on the back palate.
Yep. And that's all first word hops. All right. And finally, we're going to have the Farmer's Bane, the Rye IPA. This is kind of my baby recipe. I've held this one for a long time. For me, it celebrates rye. It celebrates, and it's named Farmer's Bane because I grew up, in my family, we grew brewing barley. And so if there was ever rye in your field, most maltsters wouldn't take it because rye has such a distinct flavor. And so I happen to love rye, and so I made this IPA to celebrate that rye. So it's the bane of farmers' existence, and yet it's a beautiful underused malt in brewing, I feel. And so when you get on your nose, you're gonna get that big citrus, a little bit of pine, and then on that first sip, you get that citrus on the front of the tongue. You can feel the bitterness and the spiciness of the rye throughout the middle of the tongue, and then on the finish, you get a little bit of that piney chinook flavor that's added in with the citra, as well as the various other hops that we use for flavoring in nose.
Well, what would you have to complete this whole talk? What would you have with Farmer's Bane, food-wise, to pair with it?
I'm always going to love spicy food, and so if you're looking for any sort of Tex-Mex or Mexican, anything with of spicy peppers in there, I think it would go very well. For me, I think it would actually complement white fish pretty well because of the spiciness of the rye.
Fantastic. Everybody, where are you going to go for drinks tonight?
West End Brewery!